of our poorest. And so going forward, one can only hope.
How's the trajectory right now? Still going backwards? Is it getting better at any point?
I don't think we're doing much better. If you look at the amount of money we lose, so read any report that's talking about accountability, whether you're looking at the Auditor General's report itself, you're looking at any CDF report, you're looking at the various reports, audit reports that the Auditor General produces. But even if anecdotally, just what people talk about, we lose a lot of money. And this money, if you look at it, even in terms of our debt burden, so we have a huge debt burden, which is making it difficult for our fiscus, making it difficult for services to be delivered to our people. And yet it's a debt which we didn't really need to acquire if you look at the amount of money we lose. If you talk about donor aid, our own resources, even at the worst of times, should allow us to live better. And I haven't seen that core issue changing.
So if you're saying that if we look at all these accountability reports and time and again we're seemingly losing a lot of money, are you saying that the institutions that are mandated to make sure that I don't know if it's pilferage or theft is reduced, they're not really doing as good?
Nobody's doing well on that count. No one. From the president down.
I'll come.
No. I mean, you've asked me a question. I haven't seen anyone who is practically, concretely trying to save our money.
But the president is always saying we will not allow corruption. We will arrest corruption.
These things. I'm talking about, I have not seen the change.
So the saying and the doing are different?
Essentially. My point is, I have not seen our money being saved better. I haven't seen an improvement in our ability to rescue our money from private pockets, and that is our biggest problem. I think where we can, I suppose, commend this government a little bit, but is in that they found money for free education, for example. They found money for meal allowances. That's huge. That's huge expenditure, and it's a very good use of our money. And as we know in this country, if that money was not going to free education, it was going to just disappear. So that's great. But overall, the fact still remains that we are losing too much money day to day, actively, and I suppose also inactively, in failure to collect taxes, failure to broaden the tax base. You know, tax evasion is shocking. You see, so overall, the amount of money that should be in the fiscus, the amount of money that should be in the hands of government is much less. And then when they get it, it gets stolen. You see, so it's really sad. You know, there's a side of the budget, there's a side of government that we don't really think about. Resource mobilization is a duty of government. It's a fundamental duty of government. They need to be able to collect all the money possible. As a country, we don't. We just don't. At council level, you look at a council like Lusaka City Council, sometimes failing to pay salaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, for like 6, 7, 8 months.
Yes. And yet, how can you know, if you just collected every tax, every rate that is due, it would be better. But instead, you know what happens, of course. You know,
I had a sit down with President Hakainde Hichilema right before he became president, like this. And he told me and the viewers and the listeners that the root of corruption is leadership. He said, we just need to change leadership and everything will be good. This is 4 years later. Have you seen any difference in terms of the leadership that was there and in terms of managing our affairs?
You see, PF was so bad that it's not fair to compare anyone to them.
No, I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about the...
No, PF.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say, I
Oh.
didn't mention any
Oh, you
names.
said PF.
Yes, I didn't mention any names. I said PF, the whole machinery called PF was so bad that anybody would be better.
Was it that bad?
It was that bad, especially when you're talking about, corruption, lack of accountability, but also the perception of accountability, of lack of accountability, because perception is a huge thing. So we went through a period of time where it was suggested, maybe not in so many words, that it was okay to suddenly become exponentially rich when there was no one could really point at how you'd done it. Okay? It's either a miracle or you've stolen. But the change of leadership, unfortunately, has probably, what it has done is maybe toned down the loudness of the stealing, but the stealing continues. And that's what's disturbing. The UPND government knows, for example, the people within the UPND know that they're not going to burn money on bowlers like PF did. But when it comes to the actual level of pilferage, I'm not sure it has gone down, because it's the Auditor General's report you're talking about. It's the Financial Intelligence Center reports we're talking about. They don't paint a very good picture. And so we're still battling with that. I think I would hasten to say it's not only about leadership, it's not only about politicians. I think our biggest problem is the civil service. Our money is mostly stolen in the civil service. Ordinary people, you like me, you and me. Not even the people we elect. Because the people we elect, the way systems work, the way financial management works, the politician cannot work unless the politician cannot steal unless they are facilitated by the PS. The PS is a civil servant. Any politician cannot take a contract, cannot get a contract wrongly unless they are facilitated by the directors, so that is where it is. The same way that I cannot steal unless they are counted as the head of this organization. I just don't have hands on the resources. So if I steal, I have to be facilitated by someone else whose job it is to stop me from doing it.
But then you have power to control them, to tell them, get that pen and sign here.
And they have the power to say no.
Of which their job can be on the line if they keep saying no to you. So they will oblige and sign.
Exactly, but you can't have
because of your instruction.
Yes, but ultimately, you need to understand, it is impossible for me to steal without someone else.
Let's move on, Madam.
Or they can steal without me.
Oh, yeah, they can steal without you.
Yes.
So, Madam, you've rated the UPND's government's performance. I saw you say 4 out of 10, and you actually mentioned some of the things that you were giving them kudos on. You mentioned that they have failed to demonstrate that institutions that should operate independently are actually independent. I'd like to know, for people who may have missed on this, what institutions can you cite right now, and what have they failed to show the autonomy?
Okay, so let me emphasize that rating was on the governance score.
Governance score.
I was not rating them on the economy. I was rating them on governance, which is essentially the whole politics, the way you run the country, the way they hold power. Okay? Just about every institution.
Every institution.
Just about every institution. You get this. You see, the problem is that it's very difficult to actually point a finger and say this, but half of it is about perception. The perception that in the country is that the judiciary is not free. That's the perception. It is the duty of the government to create conditions in which citizens trust their judiciary.
When you say every institution, I want you to mention at least even 3 or 4 or 5 that you think.
Judiciary, anti-corruption commission, parliament, police, civil service. You want to go
ECZ?
ECZ. So, I mean, the perception, if you ask an ordinary Zambian, you trust the ECZ? It's the duty of those.
The UPND have lost some elections. Case in point, Petaoke.
Yes.
So
I'm not
if
saying
ECZ was that bad and it was it was working under control, they would not have lost Betauke.
Yes, under PF they lost to. You know, again, it's on a continuum. Okay, so the ECZ has not released to the country the delimitation report. Why? Whose instructions are they waiting for? You know, because the delimitation report is our report.
What is so important that we get the delimitation report right now?
It's very important. We're having a whole constitutional amendment we are being taught because of delimitation, on the basis of a report that came out a long time ago, which we've never been given. With the ECZ has not released the president's declaration.
Or declaration of assets.
Of assets. Is it them? Is it the president? Is it the presidency? You see, so you get.
What is the danger of the ECZ not releasing that assets for the president?
First of all, it's the fact of it. The fact of it. Put it there. If people don't want to read it, let them not read it. But citizens should have access to information. This is our stuff. It doesn't belong to the institutions. What's the point of making a declaration which nobody knows? How are we going to know if the president is stealing? How are we going to know if there's a change in if these things are kept secret? So it's a fact of it. The reason why these things are done is not for decorative purposes. There's a reason why there is every law. There's a reason why there's every procedure. The reason why you declare interest before a meeting is so that if, for example, you try to influence the hiring of your cousin, everybody else knows. But if I declare interest and say, I think we had a case just now where someone declared interest but didn't tell anybody else. What was it? One of the ministers, but I remember there was a scandal recent. Mm-hmm. So we are hiring the new accountant at ACA. I declare interest that one of the candidates is my brother-in-law. But only I know. I declare interest and then I seal it.
Then you have not declared.
You see what I mean? So
is it law that says public officials must declare?
Yes,
it's law.
It is the law, but as usual, our laws have these gaps. So they are saying the ECZ says there's no law that says they must publish it. But what's the spirit? In Zambia, we are very poor at the spirit of the law. We are very good at the letter. If the letter of the law says something, but it's like the president says, yeah, but nothing makes me. In fact, it does make him. But anyway, but the whole thing about the gender parity, in appointments. Yeah, you want to change the whole constitution to make the president do something that he should do anyway, because the spirit of the constitution says so. In fact, the letter of the constitution says so. So it's the spirit of the law. Why do we declare interest? Why is there a delimitation report? Why should citizens not know? Why would the government be writing a constitution in private? It's this sense that people, when they take power, genuinely believe they are better than us. They genuinely believe they are Zambia. You see what I mean? Zambia is bigger. The ordinary people are bigger than the people who govern them. But this country is run on the basis that the people who govern are
better than the
rest. You know what I mean? So the rest of us, no, let the president know, don't, no.
So even just on the declaration of assets, I would like to find out if it's actually law or it's just a requirement. Is it a requirement?
Has to declare.
He has to declare.
But the ECZ, so once he has declared, it used to be public. This is the first time I think that we don't know. This is the first time.
For all the presidents.
Yes, we used to know. Remember, a president had declared the Cressida.
Yes.
A Cressida and 2 guns. He lied, essentially. But we all knew he lied. Because he knew
So what I want to establish is if President HH is actually breaking the law by not...
it's not even HH. I think the one who decided not to declare was President Lungu. Remember? Because when these assets were declared, it was President Lungu. And I think President Lungu didn't want us to know how he went from 2 million to...
Is it 21, 22?
No, 21 in Apita Kudara. You remember 21 was 2016.
Oh, yeah, 2016.
So he went from 2 million to 20 million. And then from 20 million to 2021. I don't think he could, in all good conscience, tell us how much he owned. So they sealed it. So it's not President Hichilema. You said Hichilema, remember, was a candidate. So none of the declarations were made public. President Hichilema then comes into office. And he just goes on. It's not my fault.
You also mentioned that you actually expressed concern on what you termed the decline in quality of government appointments in Zambia. You said that we prioritized party loyalty over competence. How has the UPND done in that regard?
Very poorly. Very, very poorly. You know, the president is very good when he's appointing people in the finance sector. I think because he's very big on the economy. So if you look at the finance sector, if you look at the ST, you look at the Minister of Finance, you can't fault them. They're probably one of the best that we have. You can't say whether you like Minister Msokotwani or not. The point is, it's a good appointment. There might be someone who could do as well or better, but it's a good appointment. Same thing with the Nkulu. Bank of Zambia governor, when they sit and they speak, you might disagree, but you're forced to say there's a mind there, and this person is doing the best that they can.
What are some of the worst appointments?
PSs at PS level, God. PS level has been used for things. So PS level youth, both PSs have got no business being PSs. If you PS Home Affairs, you have these PSs where you sit down and you say, how are you? You know that PS is one of the most technical positions in the country. More technical than minister. Because the PS runs a whole ministry. It's chief executive. That person should have great... PS is not the person you say they will have advisors. No. Minister is okay if they have good advisors. But PS themselves are the ones who go to Parliament, to the accounts committee, parliamentary accounts committee. They run the day-to-day business. So their chief executive, HR, their HR should be on point. But most importantly, they should understand internal controls. So I would not accept PS position if it was given to me. I just don't have the competence.
Tell me something. You referred to the Ministry of Youth. You said those two PSs have got no business being PSs. Don't you think a PS in such a ministry, you need someone who's like an actual artist to be able to understand the affairs of artists in the country? No. You
need someone who can run the ministry.
On behalf of the artists?
No. Ministry of Youth and Sport. So are you going to get a sportsman? Are you going to get a young person? Are you going to get, that's not how it works. What you need, by the way, I'm not saying there should not be an artist. Get an artist who's competent. Because these two are not mutually exclusive. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're not mutually exclusive. Neither is being young. Because you're young doesn't mean that you can't be a PS. Just be a competent young person. You see, that's what I'm saying. So my problem is not that they are artists. My problem is this other side.
Incompetence.
It's lack of experience and skills to run that kind of institution. It's lack of it. How are you giving this person who has never managed a budget of 100,000 kwacha, $100,000 to run a whole ministry? How are you asking directors who came in as young people with first degree and rose right through to director? They understand every drop, every corner of the ministry to be supervised by someone who's never done it. It's like the army. The general must have risen through the ranks.
The ranks, yeah.
You can appoint if you want. If you want, to get a surgeon and make them general. But try and get everybody else to respect their capacity to lead them. You see, so when you say these things, people think it's personal. In Zambia, we are very scared to speak the truth because no, some of these guys are my friends. But I say it to their faces, like, boy, you know what I mean? This is what I honestly think. Believe me, I wish them well. But send them to the ambassador. Make them ambassador. Because, ambassador, you leave the bag for the president when he arrives, you meet him at the airport, don't need much. But
how have the PSs, because you mentioned the Minister of Youth, how have they done?
I have no idea, actually.
But
I have no idea. I can't. You see,
how would you, if you have no idea, how would you don't know if they've done better?
I'm talking about the very idea of appointing them.
Okay.
You understand? The very idea of appointing them. In a country in which there are so many people who could do the job, who deserve the job. You know what our biggest problem with the civil service is in Zambia? Is that we went away from promoting people.
Mm-hmm.
The civil service is like the army. It's one area where the PS should have earned their stripes by having been in every role.
I hear you and I understand. They must rise. Shouldn't we be having this conversation after we do like a quick research and then we see how are they performing?
No. Otherwise, we can go and appoint chief accountant, tentim yes. You know that kind of thing. There are roles and it's a timakonda kuyesa. And we've paid the price for it even at presidents. We've had presidents who had no business being presidents. So the point is, in a country like this one, with our levels of poverty,
yes,
our levels of illiteracy, our levels of essentially stagnation, when you are making appointments, do not make appointments for loyalty, because loyalty is you. Loyalty is, this person is my friend, they did well for me, I trust them. No. Make appointments for this person. When they get into that office and they put in 8 days' work, Zambia will improve.
I hear you. There's a line on the screen. I'll be able to allow you to come through and, of course, have a conversation with Madam Laura Miti. Anytime soon we'll be able to let you know. The line is on the screen. Please just hold on to it. Madam, let's talk about alliances. What's your honest opinion about them, the political alliances?
They're a joke. Comedy, high comedy. They've always been I don't think we've ever had an alliance that worked in this country, not even the one that brought the UPND to power.
You don't think that one worked?
No, it didn't. President Hichilema did not need anyone. President Hichilema is the first president since Chiluba, but not even Chiluba. I think Ansata, that won as him. He didn't need an alliance, but he was being nice, essentially. And maybe he was a bit worried at the time. But that was an alliance, really, on paper. 2021 was won fairly and squarely by a person called Hakainde Hichilema, and of course the party he led. But otherwise, I think because as a country, we have, our parties are so poor, so weak ideologically, and also the fact that as a country, the aim of our politicians is completely and entirely power.
Completely and entirely
power. Okay, across the world, people want power, but you can have nothing. You can have nothing to give in exchange for that power, and you want power. So the alliances, we have alliances of weakness right now. And I think the biggest problem really with the alliances we're having now is that together, they don't seem, they've got nothing to cohere around. What is it that's holding them together other than their deep distaste for the person holding power? That's not enough.
Do you think the people that go into these alliances have an idea how an alliance is supposed to work? Because from where I stand, I've never been in an alliance, but from where I stand, we're supposed to have an idea who's supposed to lead us, and we are supposed to say, this is our leader, and let's go and fight against maybe the incumbent. And then when we take power, you are going to be minister of what? I'm going to be this position, and this is going to be our president. Not all of us wanting to be president. Do you think these people have got an idea how alliances work?
Well, you don't have to know who's going to be your president when you create an alliance, but you certainly have to do it very quickly, decide very quickly. You see what I mean? You know, like you can create a cooperative, and then day one, you choose a leader. And in this case, you know, they lie to each other. You know, like it's like, no, we can all be leaders, you know, kind of thing. Let's not, don't show your need for, I mean, how is it going to work? You know, ahead of the 2021 elections, I used to get really abused. Right here at this office, I had so many groups of people coming through, trying to rope me into some kind of political position or other. You know, like join us, join us, join us. You know, kind of thing. And some of them would say, most of the conversation was, you know, HH can't really win on his own, and he doesn't like to work with people, so join us. So let's create a band of others, you know, that maybe forces HH in or takes over from HH, a third force. And, you know, and I'll tell people, I'm not a politician. I want to in politics? No. I'm not. I don't do this because I want a political position or that I'm going to ever end. But anyway, that's not why I'm telling you this. One day they come in, another group. It was maybe they started, and they're saying, you know, we need to come together. Very interesting people, very powerful people. You know,
that if you mentioned names right now, I would be jumping.
Yes, you know, we need Shanshani, you know. Around office. Okay. And then they're telling me how they would like me to go around, you know, get the students, essentially be the face of it. But then someone says, then they sold it to me as a movement. You know, it's a movement, but we know we should remember we might turn into a political party. And me, I'm thinking, so the real idea is a political party, okay. But then the clincher was, this guy says, you know, we must make sure that just because someone led, this part, that means they'll be president, you know. Because when we get to that presidency, when you get to the point where we are choosing leaders, it has, you know, I burst out laughing. I said, you know, you people, one, don't worry. I don't want to join this thing, and I don't want to be president. But already, you could see what happens in these alliances. You know, you're pretending to be together, but everybody is trying to ensure that I can get a chance to be president. What I really want to be is president, but maybe I can't do it on my own. And so I think that's the problem we're having with our alliances. We need an alliance around ideas, you know, and around ideas and ideas that you can sell to Zambians. Like I keep asking, okay, let's say you come into office, then what? You know, and then also the alliance should make some kind of sense. We see pictures of people sitting together who hate each other, unless they are saints. There's no way Fred maybe and President Lungu like each other. You know what I mean? But maybe they've gone to church and they've confessed that they've think. But so you see people together and you think, but how is this alliance working? It's the same thing as
like they just want to use each other, but they don't really like each other.
It's like Amos and HH. Amos Chanda. You know, your brain goes, you know, when you see Amos sitting for the UPND. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't. It's his right, like I say, free will. That's the answer they give. But do any of us see Amos say UPND in his mouth and not get a sense of, okay, how? you know what I mean? So this country is abusing, you know, it really is. And the problem is all of us have got this thing of, no, don't criticize. No, it's not fair. No, let's just look. No, as long as it suits you. You know, as long as it kind of suits you, you refuse to say this is illogical.
But maybe it's about survival, and I see whether I don't like you, but you're my vehicle to where I am going.
Why? I mean, a vehicle. All of you want to go to plot one. You see, it's a problem. You know, the vehicle is all going to one place. For 5 years. You know what I mean? And that's why we've become so broken. You know, in a country, someone's dream should be to be the best, to be the Chief Justice. That is my dream. You know, I'm a lawyer. I'd like to be a Chief Justice. I'd like to be the best human rights lawyer. I'd like to be this. You know, there should be various sides of excellence. We can't all want to be presidents. Because excellence comes in different sides. The best musician possible, or the best musician activist, the best minister, the best... Kalialia, you know, Bank of Zambia governor. Can you imagine him? You know, like, you look at him and you say, now, this guy has held fort at a very difficult time. You know, it's a miracle we are still a going concern as a country, given the problems we had in the last 5 years. It's a miracle. It is a group of people who have sat together. He should go to his grave proud. Manje, the way this country is, I want to be president, Musokotwane wants to be president, Fred wants to be president, who wants to be president? So these other sites of excellence are always seen as transitional.
I have a question. You talked about Amos working with the UPND. If you were Hichilema, if you were put yourself in the shoes of Hichilema, and Amos changes camp, what's going through your head?
I'd say no. I mean, I wouldn't stop me from buying the card, but that's where it would end. I would not make him my voice. I just wouldn't. Because, you know, the messenger is part of the message. The messenger is part of the message. Now, if I have to defeat the messenger in my head before getting to the message, it's a problem. Do you understand? You know, if I'm obese and I'm saying, this makes you slim, you know, if you take this, you know what I mean? So the person has to defeat the way I look before getting to the point that if I take this, I'll be slim.
What if you trust that that guy is good in terms of disseminating information, so it should be part of my team?
How can you trust a messenger that, you know what is called dissonance? There's a word called dissonance. Dissonance is zzz, it's not working. You know, the wires are touching. You see what I mean? So essentially, what the UPN, and it's not only Amos, you know, but...
Okay, I shouldn't be laughing.
You know the UPND messaging these days? You know, you have to defeat too many messages. When Frankie, Wadia, you know, Frankie's talking for you. Frankie's talking for the president. And you know, and I'm talking as just a normal human being. You know, there are people where this person did this to me. Now they're saying this. You know, like the natural response. So what I'm saying is, maybe give Amos a background role. Let him write the speeches. If you can't write, which is most of them can't write. Okay? So let him write the speeches.
Most of the UPND media can't write?
Well, most Zambians can't write. So, so there are a few people who are very good at messaging. Emmanuel is good. You know what I mean? I mean, like, he can be feeding you crap, but it's well articulated crap, if you see what I mean. So let's say Emmanuel decided tomorrow to become UPND. Tikamone and I, on let the people talk. So what you do with someone like Emmanuel is you tell him, Emmanuel, write this stuff up for us. Then choose people who do not create dissonance in the minds of the listener.
To be able to send out the message. With that said, how do you look at the PF's chances in the next election? the UPND's chances in the next election?
Okay, the president is going to win.
The president will win?
The president. You see, the president, this is one of the luckiest presidents ever. Who beats him? You know, it's not even about him anymore.
Don't say alliance.
You get what I'm saying? The president is in such a position that it's not even about him anymore. It is that, okay, this is my view.
It is that I don't see too many Zambians in enough numbers. I'm not saying no Zambians will vote for the others. I'm saying in enough numbers of us to make anybody else president. So to become president in any country, you need enough numbers of people agreeing that you're the best person. I don't see enough numbers for Fred. I don't see enough numbers for President Lungu can stand. I don't see enough numbers for Kalaba. So the worst that can happen is apathy. And apathy usually favors the incumbent. Katupa MP. I think there's drama there. And I think that's where citizens, I don't think people are voting down the line like we've done for so many years. You know, many years we've voted down the line. I don't think we are voting down the line. I think the vote is going to be split between the president will probably get his vote, but down here, many UPND MPs are going to lose. And I actually don't even understand why there's this level of unhappiness. But it seems to me that we might for the first time have a balanced parliament. We might.
When you say balanced parliament, what do you mean?
Which is opposition
and
ruling party together.
The numbers close.
The numbers close. I also think there'll be quite a few independents that will make it through. So it would make for a very good parliament. You know, it's the kind of parliament we had for a moment there before President Manawasa messed it up. I don't know if you're old enough to remember.
I don't. Please enlighten me.
Yeah, so President Manawasa, when he won, I think, backdoor, but anyway, by opinion. When he won minuscule, 29%, okay? So, and Parliament reflected that. So, I think it was UPND, Mazoka's UPND was pretty high, and he didn't have enough numbers. But I think MMD still had the majority, I can't quite remember. But for the first time, the budget was almost defeated. And the debate was amazing in Parliament. You know, it was proper intellectual debate. Then he began to he's the one who started this buying of let me use the word buying of getting MPs to cross, you know, and since then, downhill, you know, and it's something I find it very difficult to forgive President Manawasa for, because it took a lawyer as smart as him to understand this lacuna in our law, which says that ministers will be appointed from Parliament. The spirit, remember I was telling you earlier, that the spirit and the letter can be different. And I think the spirit of our Parliament, of our Constitution, is that a ruling party will appoint people from its own benches. But it says from Parliament. So Manawasa, being the smart lawyer that he was, read that and began to appoint ministers from the opposition bench. And from then on, it just became... Yeah,
because if you're opposition or you are independent, if I appoint you minister...
collective responsibility. Yeah, you essentially been co-opted. And so President Manawasa, in that way, weakened the opposition.
The opposition.
Opposition benches, yes. But in short, President, I think the president is going to win, and it's for that reason that I sometimes wonder what, you know, the sense of panic you hear in the UPND, you feel in the UPND. I wonder why. I guess maybe he doesn't want a weak parliament as well. I don't know.
We will talk about that. I want us to talk about the Human Rights Commission board. There's been reports that it's been dissolved. But also I saw a report from State House saying that the board's tenure simply just came to an end. I couldn't get more clear person to give us clear information about the board other than you. I want to know, have you been fired? What's the story?
No, the law just changed. So a new law passed. A new law that constitutes the Human Rights Commission. Mm-hmm. And that law said 3 months after that law passed, the sitting thing would dissolve. So it's a legal thing. It's not. It wasn't anybody saying this has to happen. It's the law. If you see what I mean. So it dissolved because a new law, a completely new law, Remember, now we have 18.
So when the new law came, the law said that after 3 months, the current tenure gets dissolved.
Exactly.
Has there been? Have they renewed?
There's no board right now. So there's no board right now. So the president then will appoint a new board.
Would you be open to be part of the new board if the president wills?
Don't you think that's a conversation I should have with the president?
Come again?
Don't you think that's a conversation I should have with the president?
If you got cruisers outside saying, "Okay, we have a letter for you," are you taking it? Or
the Human Rights Commission is a wonderful place to be. I mean, except that in our period it was very frustrating because you don't feel that the law as it was very constricting. So there wasn't much that you could do.
In fact, that's where I was coming. Yes. In your tenure, did you feel supported with the law and the political climate?
The law was very weak, and also the Human Rights Commission is so underfunded. It's a joke. I'm always amused about, hey, you've got a job, all these human rights. Anyway, Zambians talk about things they don't know, and then they talk about them with such confidence. That is it an ability that Zambians have?
Talk about things they don't understand.
Yes, but it's the confidence. This is yellow. Kind of thing. You can see it's red, but someone is with great confidence saying. So they talk with confidence about things they know nothing about. So the Human Rights Commission essentially, a commissioner is a board member. You meet 4 times a year. It's essentially like it's not a job.
4 times a year.
Yes, I work for the Alliance for Community Action. That's who pays me. The Human Rights Commission does not pay me. I'm paid by. So there's no such job as Human Rights Commissioner. So if someone wants to be...
Wait, the time you were a commissioner, you're not being paid by the...
No, you get a stipend.
Really?
Yes. There's no salary there.
It's a presidential appointment.
Yes, but that's what you guys think. And so you keep singing, you keep singing about it. There's no such thing.
If the president appointed you, I would think that your life has changed.
In some positions, yes, but not the commission. And it's not something that, even going in, everybody there on that commission has other jobs. The chairperson is a lecturer at university. Everybody has other jobs. We get our money elsewhere. The Human Rights Commission is about human rights. And also, the Human Rights Commission is a demand side. It's on this side of government. It's not on the government side of government. It's on the citizen side of government. So the job of the Human Rights Commission is to protect citizens, to support the citizens' rights. To
stand with the people and talk for the people.
So every government has underfunded it. But it's and when I'm talking about underfunding, I'm not talking about the issue of the stipends. Because the stipends, even as you're going in, it's about the ability of the commission to operate.
Do you think underfunding is deliberate?
I think so. I think it's underfunded. Because the other commissions, you never hear ECZ underfunded. You know what I mean? You never hear an ECZ underfunded, and they're not on a stipend. They get huge salaries, but they are full-time, to be fair. So if you're a commissioner on the ECZ, that's a job.
Do you people have in the human rights? Do you have like some sort of deliverables and have like budgets that you present to people who are supposed to?
The secretariat does. We are a board. We were a board. The secretariat is who runs day-to-day work. So yes, the budget and all that, but that budget is generally not fully funded. But the worst thing is just the numbers of staff. The tragedy is when you think of the Human Rights Commission in Zambia, you're thinking of high end. You're thinking of politicians being arrested. You're thinking of high end rights. Almost elitist rights. Rights to expression and that kind of thing. The rights that affect you and me. But the real problem in this country are the rights of the day-to-day citizen. The people sitting in cells forever.
Yes.
The people
and not
are arrested for no reason. The people arrested for shishita. The people arrested for deaths. The conditions of the prisons. If we could change something there, that would be success. These people we make noise about have got lawyers and generally don't spend too much time in cells. You know, I've been in cells 2 days, 3 days na choke. You see what I mean? And also while I'm in cells, there's noise. Hey, Laura has been arrested. Laura has been. You know what I mean? Everybody knows I've been arrested. Well, someone's daughter, someone's son will be there weeks because some police officers just decided so. That is the most important role of the Human Rights Commission. And I wish it would be well funded for that aspect. Not No, I'm not saying we shouldn't do that side of it, but where we really need changes.
Especially where you are able to talk for people who don't have a voice.
Help, first of all, not only talk to them, but help them understand their rights. Because you have Zambians who actually sit in that cell thinking it's okay. Zambian, someone will come and arrest someone's wife or someone's mother because the son has run away, and that woman will willingly go. When there's no such thing, and someone will go and report you to the cells and to the police, and you sleep in cells, and you think it's okay. You see, so there's a huge gap of information on just day to day. The kind of things that government shouldn't even worry about, because I'm sure government worries about whether you're going to say people, the rights to expression and these bigger civil and political rights. But the everyday rights, and also for me, it's the social and economic rights. The right to water, the right to health. The Human Rights Commission in Zambia is silent historically
I have
that kind of things.
I hear you, and I have a question. When you're Laura Miti and you are Human Rights Commissioner, and you're speaking on behalf of the people, and some things you say are very unpleasant to the powers that be. Do the powers that be embrace you, or they feel like, why are you talking too much?
I don't know.
You should be able to get the energy.
I've never, not under PF, not under who, not under MMD, because I've been doing this all my life. I don't look at I don't know how I can put it. It's not for them. You see what I mean? So I don't even check to know who has heard what I've said.
When you go to you could get some feedback.
I don't.
You don't find yourself at some function or
I don't go to too many functions. I've got a very private life. So I don't really I never rub shoulders with the powers that be. I could if I tried. If I wanted to, I suppose I could, but I don't.
You don't get an email, a message, a phone call, like that's too much.
No, not this government, not the previous.
I'm letting the public in now. Please use the number on the line. On the screen. There's a number on the screen there. You could use it and give us a call. If you have any contribution or any comments for Madam Laura Miti, you could please come through, and she'll be glad to have a conversation with you. Madam, what's your view on... the ruling party is pushing for a constitutional amendment to bring more youths and women into parliament. My question to you is, do you believe this is a genuine empowerment or political tokenism?
No, I don't think so. I think they're lying through their teeth. Like everybody has said, if it was about youth and women, you would have seen it in the appointments over time. But also, I think that the president and the government understand very well that constitutional amendment needs soberness, needs conversations, and it's very difficult to understand why you do it now. Very difficult to understand. So we can't get a good amendment right now. If you look at their timeline, they say from bill to passing 2 months, 3 months, what's the rush? We don't have a gun to our heads. So I don't really believe that. But also, I think it's important for Zambians to understand that while the government is talking about non-contentious, there are issues that are indeed non-contentious in that we agree that we want them. Mm-hmm. But that does not make them simple. Some of them are so complicated that you can't do them in a short period.
My director says there's a phone call. Can we use the headset so that we can hear the people. Okay. The call is normal. Okay. So the issue again is the timing. When are we supposed to start talking about amendments?
What do you mean? When is the best time?
Sorry. So it says there's a phone call there. Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. Moderator.
Good morning. Thank you. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
Okay, this is Uncle Gift. I'm calling you from Kasama.
Uncle Gift from Kasama.
Madam Laura Miti. Yes, Madam Laura Miti, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yes, I'm following Mr. Moderator. So I just want to add the voice also, especially where the madam says, I think she believes that the president will win the next year's election.
You may go on.
On that one, on that one, Mr. Moderator, I personally am always on the ground. Mm-hmm. I move a lot due to the nature of my job. To be honest with you, UPND is not there on the ground. And I'm 100% sure that even the president will lose this next year's election. I'm telling you, Mr. Moderator. If you can move around, don't just...
Is it just in Kasama, or when you say you move around?
Not in Kasama.
Have you seen everywhere?
For the past one month, Mr. Moderator, I've been to Shangomba, I've been to Mongu, I've been to Livingston, I've been to Kaoma. Last week I was in Kaoma. I was in Mpika. Today, as I'm talking to you, I'm in Kasama. So, to be honest with you, if you want to believe what I'm saying, what I'm telling you, Mr. Moderator, get on any bus from Lusaka there, any bus going to any compound and observe. This time, Mr. Moderator, you can't talk about UPND in a bus. For the first time in Zambia, in Lusaka, to be specific, even in Copper Belt, I was in Copper Belt last month. You can't talk about UPND in buses unless you are ready to be insulted, to be intimidated, and everything. I'm telling you, even the president is not. There's nothing happening on the ground.
Mr. Gift, you have 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to conclude.
Thank you so much. Just to conclude, if you go at 15 miles, I stay in Lusaka myself. 15 miles was a strong spot for UPND. You go there. I run a football team there. 15 miles. You go there. Observe, you will see all the youth have nothing to do with UPND and its leadership. The MP is there in 15 miles. Anakuwa tu that napangisaka tournament, Mr. Moderator. Anapangisaka tournament by MP by UPND. Then tunakuwa ma teams, we were about 22 teams in 15 miles. Tunatama games up to final day. When we were about to play final game, anatupromisa tikuli 5 pin kulina majezi na mabola. When we were ready now to play a final game, the phone went off for his counselor. For him, I personally lost about 6,500 for transport.
Which MP is that?
To move my prayers from the MP for I don't wish something.
Okay, as I let you go, who do you think may beat HH in the next year's election?
I'm telling you, if the Tonse will put their heads together, they're winning this next year election.
With which president? With which president?
Whoever they will choose, Mr. Moderator, whoever they choose, even if it's the madam there, even you, if you stand on Tonse Alliance, I can assure you, even the madam there, even you win.
I have to let you go because of time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Your quick response? It's a gift.
I'm amused that he kind of spoiled his intervention by the personal issue. So it sounds like it. You know, I'm Jirandaramam guys. So, so I mean, when you conflate the two, you begin to think. But no, I remember I said that it's not my sense that. My belief that the president is going to win. Mm-hmm. It's not so much anymore about him as it was in 2021. Mm-hmm. It's simply the question you ask. You know, for a president to win in Zambia, you must be able to garner the votes of so many Zambians together at the same time. So all these people who might be unhappy, you see, are probably voting for different people. So anyway, this is my view. But the point is we don't know.
There's also an aspect of people protest voting. Anybody but you.
I don't think we're quite there.
You don't think we're there yet?
I don't think we're quite there. You see, the protest vote, anybody but you has that, but always, even that has some thinking. You know, with some things, people just say it can be anyone, but I don't think you really get there. That's why I think that there might be a high apathy.
There's a phone call. Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Your name and where you calling us from, sir?
Yeah, speaking to Owen from Lusaka.
From Lusaka. Owen, you have 2 minutes. Please go on and talk to Madam Laura.
Madam Laura, good morning.
Good morning, Owen.
I'm following, and the thing is, I usually don't like making contributions when I'm listening to people whom I agree with most of the time. So Madam Laura is just one of those people I usually agree with when she speaks. There are few times when I disagree with her. Short, I'm 6 minutes late into the program, so I hope this hasn't been overtaken by what is coming ahead. There is a question yesterday. Somebody said you should ask Madam Laura why she doesn't just have access the president and give such advice directly to the president. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Thank you. Why don't you call State House media director Clayson Amasaka and tell him this is what I think you should tell the president? Why do you go to the media?
Why?
That's what the gentleman.
What would be the objective? Why would I do it? What is wrong with everybody knowing what my thoughts about the president is? Or anything for that matter? Because everything, you see, why only the president? Everything I think about, even whether I'm drinking Savannah, is on the page, is on my page. You know what I mean? Everything. Savannah, naenda kuchechi, nakalipira babusa, nakwenda babusa. I've got a new boyfriend. You know, that kind of thing. I'm happy with the president. I'm not happy with the president.
So like,
so why just this one?
The issue is, if you have something to tell me, why are you going to Facebook instead of telling me?
Why do I tell you about Savannah? Why do I tell you about my new boyfriend? Why do I tell you about my grandchildren on my page?
So basically, what you're saying is you say everything on your page.
Yes, simply. That's why I say that's why you you know, like there's no other place. It's just my page. So why are you protesting about where it is that you've always known me to be? I don't go anywhere else. And like I've said, I don't. You know, so I must start ambushing the president. You know, the president is a busy person. You know, and I don't know that. Yeah. So my thoughts about everything and anything are open. So I will not, for example, I will not insult the president or anyone on my page. So I don't write anything on my page that anyone should be able to protest about. You know, like I'm not one to use derogatory language. But if I'm going to ask, if I'm going to say, I think the president is appointing incompetent people, it's true. That's what I think. It's not an insult. You know, but if I also say, I really like the way the president's manner, you know, like he's dignified the president, it's also true. And I'll say it on my page. That is my platform.
I hear you. There's a number on the screen. You could use it to come through and, of course, be able to talk to Laura Miti. She's ready to have a conversation with you. Madam, the opposition have raised concerns that the crimes such as tribalism, hate speech, or seditious practices are only recognized when committed by members of the opposition. Well, they are ignored if it's someone from within the party. Is it something that you may have noticed?
No. You know, there's a difference. You know, tribalism comes in two forms. Both bad, but one worse. Let me know you say worse. One is dangerous, devastatingly dangerous. One is harmful, but, you know. So, there's tribalism that says, and kind of thing. There's tribalism that says muzizonda vavemba. Vavemba ni oipa. Vavemba ni mfuiti. This one takes away things. This one is kind of more pedestrian. This one is the one that the opposition tends to take. And it's not only now, it went bad from 2016. And that's what I've always talked about. You know the Chishimba Kambwili kind of tribalism is different from the Rupiah Banda kind of tribalism. Rupiah Banda was the worst tribalist this country has ever seen. He was unapologetically an Easterner, that guy. I'm turning to him even as a parliament. He was unapologetically believed that from Luangwa to this side, we should be together. But you never hear him say, hate the Bembas or hate the Tongas or hate the Lozis. You understand? Mwanawasa, okay, I say Rupiah was there, but Mwanawasa was a nepotist. During his tenure, there was Kulibone Shatta. We didn't even know they were there. The Rambas. They are such a small group. But under Mwanawasa,
they showed up.
But they didn't hate anyone. Do you see the difference? We didn't feel that we felt that the Rambas were enjoying their time in the sun. But they didn't want to rain to make others stop breathing. This is about Munia Zulu and thing. What Munia and Maureen did, these MPs. When you say we are more, these guys, you make a whole people part of the presidency. That is the mistake we've done with the Tonga people. And I keep saying this. When you go to Southern Province and you find Vina Mutinta, you can't hate her together with HH. Vina Mutinta is hungry. Vina Mutinta has no schools. The fact that HH is in power does not mean that life is better for the Tonga. The fact that HH was in power did not reduce poverty for Amake Mavuto. The poor in this country are exactly the same. No tribal group has improved, because of their president. No one. My presidents,
so you're saying that the opposition at this point, especially the two names you mentioned, Munia and Honorable Maureen, they are exercising the tribalism for hate that group.
It's hate. It's hate. Do you see what the difference is? And if you think about it honestly, that was the PF era hatred. Hate the Tonga.
I have a question.
Listen, the Tonga are bad. The Tonga will bring cows into Cairo Road. Do you understand? The Tongas will bring cows. The Tongas will take all the jobs. It's different from, and I'm not saying this one it should be done, because that's also wrong. It's different from, let's vote for each other. You're not saying hate this person when you see them in the street. We reached a stage when Tongas were not naming their children by their Tonga names. And we're all quiet. We're all quiet. We watched this country hate a group of innocent people. You cannot convince me ever that that's all right.
I have a question.
Yes.
I understand your stance on what you've said, which has led to MPs losing their seats in Parliament. Are you telling me that since 2021, this is 2025, no MP from the ruling party has committed a crime so serious that it could result to them losing a seat?
I don't know. You're asking me about tribe now.
No, I gave you a number of things. I talked about seditious. I talked about tribalism. I talked about.
Give me an example. Which one has made a statement about police? You know that one is crazy. I don't know what she was thinking. Even if you remove the tribal part of it, I think you start saying we are so many we can come against you. It's talking about insurrection. How can an MP talk like that? Even if it was you deserve to be in prison. you know what I mean? I'm not happy that she's in prison, but I don't understand how you can argue with the fact that she committed a crime.
I could pull out a statement where, as we go on, where there's a list of members of the opposition and seemingly they've done things.
Seditious. They've said we will rise and we will think and we will attack. Is that what you're telling me? Remember, you know, I can recognize tribalism from afar. You know, like I've told you, the family tree. You remember the story of the family tree?
Yes.
Yes. And then the family forest. Who had the forest? Sata, I think. So look at Michael Sata. Look at Mwana Wasa. These two created, you know, they created that kind of tribalism that is unbelievable. And these two also like their relatives. You know, they went beyond the tribe. I used to laugh that it was like when I was a student, he used to go in the village and say, "Oh, you know, it was that kind of thing. But I don't think anybody felt hated.
I have a list of one or two things that were said.
Okay.
And this was a write-up by someone. Usually I don't trust write-ups by politicians, but if this is in the public domain.
Okay. Write-up by who? No, you have to say.
A politician.
No. Then let
Binwell.
it go. Binwell who?
Binwell Mbundu.
Okay. Binwell Mbundu.
Yes.
Okay, the one from Kopagot.
Yes.
What did he say?
Nkana.
Yes.
Yes. So he says, Honorable Siakarima alleged that the people of Luapula suffer from mental poverty. So he was asking, is that not a tribal remark?
So can you get me what Siakarima actually said? I mean, you know, like
yes. No. He mentioned a number of things.
Okay, can you go?
But again, now unless you want me to go and actually find the actual.
Exactly. You know what sedition is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a seditious thing is. You are creating.
So he was comparing that statement I gave you to remarks made by Munia, who suggested that people of Rumezi are more intelligent than the people of Bungwe.
Is that why he's in prison? Is that why? Do you really think Munia is in prison because he said people of Rumezi are more intelligent? I mean, like, you know what? He's in prison. Is it?
Munia is in prison for different.
Exactly. Seditious practices, seditious statements. Seditious statements are about actually creating harm. It's like hate. You know,
even
hate,
he says that there are a lot of defamatory statements that are made by pages. He mentioned Koswe, he mentioned Watchdog, and they usually say that. They mention.
You can't arrest Koswe. They tried. You can't arrest anyone. Koswe, Watchdog, Koswe. Who just is faceless? Koswe, Watchdog, Bulletin. We are talking about. If I stand up right now, okay? If I stand up right now and I say that I think only intelligent people should get jobs, it's a very elitist statement, not very nice. But if I say that I think Dao people should be killed,
that's too much.
That's hate. You know what I mean? You are vilifying a whole people, but you are targeting, you are directing harm to them. I insist, and let someone argue with me, that in the last so many years, we as a people directed harm towards the Tonga people. I'm not Tonga. You know.
Is that phone call? Okay. Hi there, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, so.
Good morning, thank you. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, Emmanuel calling you from Chilabombo. Madam Lola, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
From Choma?
From Chilabombo.
Chilabombo. Okay. Emmanuel, please go on, please.
Yeah, Madam Lola, I think you come across of a minister who said that the people who are poor have got a poverty mindset.
We're just discussing.
We just talked about that one actually.
We talked about that.
Or was that not seditious or what? The second one.
No, it wasn't seditious.
There is a certain gentleman from Northwestern had to issue a statement to circumcise. I don't know, this is not a very good language, but you've come across that statement where
The youth that were saying they will circumcise ECL?
Yes, was that not seditious? And I want you to educate me about that one.
Okay, is that all?
Yes, that's
Okay,
all.
thank you very much.
You know, there's two sides to this, and I've said it on my page. If someone makes a seditious statement, okay, a seditious statement, and they are a leader, poverty mentality is like, I think there was something else. Was it useful idiot? Useful idiot. You know, there's a time when the whole country was in uproar because someone was called a useful idiot. And they said it was an insult, and it really wasn't. What I'm saying is, if we are going to put everything, if we are going to refuse as a country to face the fact that as a people we sat and allowed the Tonga to be systematically and governmentally hated. And it was actually a machinery, we saw it happen. And we tried to compare it. You see, it's called, what is it called? Whataboutism. There's a word called whataboutism. People should go and Google that.
Whataboutism.
Whataboutism or whataboutery. You know, where I say, you did this, and you say, what about that one? It's called whataboutery, and it's a very good escape mechanism. What I've been saying is, Munia and Maureen deserve to be in prison.
Like for
they
me,
deserve to be in prison.
For me,
Yes.
I think I would never disagree with an elderly person, a person with influence, to come on social media or anywhere or use any platform to push out hate and all those things. I say they deserve to be where they're supposed to be, but also there should be some level of the same whataboutism. Like, even on your side, if things like this emerge, even if the exact words were not said, but if things like this emerge on that side, you should seem to be balancing. But if things are not balancing, what you are now creating is that when one day someone is sitting on that chair, what do you think will happen to you and everybody else who supports you?
Well, the point is, if you're going to go this, you know, like, do you know why I find it very difficult? I don't know, maybe it's me, but I find it very difficult to find anyone who's singing now who did not sing in the 5 years when the Tonga suffered. In any case, you know, my brain freezes. Okay, I'm going to actually accept it. That my brain freezes because I watched this country allow whole people. And believe me, you know, if you attack HH, I have no problem. He's a big boy. I keep saying it. He's a big boy and he's rich. He can protect himself. But ordinary people like you and
Ordinary
me.
people have got no business being attacked in that light.
Exactly.
Like, we are one family. Like, we are one Zambia. We grew up.
Not even one family. Just do not, I don't even care about family. It's just a fact that we sat for 5 years. We watched for 5 years. Systematic. Not one person. Once I went to Bino Enzeko. Enzeko Bino. He should tell me, did he ever raise a voice against Chichimbakambui? No. Lero Awoka. We were Bino.
Are you standing here and saying tables have turned? You feel...
No. I am saying...
You also feel what you are giving?
No. I'm saying be consistent. I'm saying be consistent. If you hate. I hate. And I've been consistent on this point that in this country, never before did we see what happened in the PF, where you take tribe as a political strategy. Never. We have seen tribalism many times. Sata was a tribalist, and Mwanawasa with the West. Arab B is Wapakamwa, really. You know, like Arab B loved to he was a proud Ngoni, but not really one who you saw maybe in his appointments. Okay? If you see what I mean, there's a difference. It was just this kind of, you know, Ngonis are proud people. So it was this showing off his heritage. But Mwanawasa and Sata were the worst. Lungu was not a tribalist in terms, and you know why Lungu really bothered me? You didn't see, okay, of course, he sidelined a whole part of the country in terms of the appointments, okay, that kind of thing. But he didn't really come across as actively himself wanting to employ his relatives and that kind of thing. But he sat quietly as, in fact, I think he probably agreed with it. Because I don't see how you can just sit quiet.
You have talked about how Lungu, the appointments, Arabi was proud. How's the current situation? What have you seen with the current?
You see, like right now, I do not see tribal hate. You see what I'm saying? When I see President Hichilema surrounds himself, if you look at his inner team, like at State House, he surrounds himself with tribesmen. Perfect. It's true. You can't argue. Almost his inner circle is tribesmen and boyas. Almost the same way as Manawasa did it. He has this, I don't know whether he is insecure or what. Doesn't look good. The optics are bad. Okay? What I am saying is there is no hate of someone else. Do you see the difference? So, Manawasa...
So you can love your people, but there's no hate for someone else.
No. You must not love your people. Do you see what I said? I said they are both wrong. Don't use the tribal lens for appointments. It's wrong. Okay?
There's a
Can I just finish this thought?
Okay.
Don't use the tribal lens for appointment. It's wrong. Don't you appoint your relatives the way Sata and Thingy did. It's wrong. But what I'm saying is, as a country, when we see active hate for someone else, that we should immediately stamp out. That causes wars. That causes real injury to the psyche of a country.
I hear you. Let's pick up the call. Hi there, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Shosta. Shosta, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Your name, sir? And where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Chipata, Eastern Province.
Your name, sir?
My name is Gift.
Gift?
Yes.
You may go on with your contribution, sir.
Madam Laura, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm following the program, and I need to appreciate what Madam Laura is trying to cite and the citizens. But I've got a question. I feel he's dodging out the question which the previous callers asked, pertaining to the statement that that guy made from Northwest State, and I think he's a councillor, over circumcising the former president. I want to circumcise the former president on that issue. I wanted some education there. I feel he's dodging that question, and he tried to educate us. Thank you.
Okay, before you go, can you hear Madam Laura very clearly?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. I've seen a message saying that her sound was shaky. Thank you. She's going to respond to you just now.
Okay.
All right.
Saying you're going to circumcise the former president is it's uncouth, it's horrible. And those are the kind of kids who probably should... Who said it, the councillor?
I think it's if I'm not mistaken, it's the youth, eh? It's the youth, eh?
Yes. That's the kind of thing which should be stamped out.
Screaming it out was it a deck or something?
Okay, you understand, yes. So that's the kind of thing that should be stamped out. That person should lose his job if you can find a law that... Because I don't think sedition works. You understand? Seditious thing is the kind of thing that Maureen said.
What you're saying is what I was trying to... Okay, please finish.
If there's a law, slap him with it. Okay? So I'm not saying it is right. And if government sits down and allows its own young people, its own loud mouths, and sometimes you have proxies. What are called proxies? Instead of you saying it, the minister, you send these ones. And you're saying until Nakamba, that kind of thing. So there should be consequences. There should be consequences.
I wanna agree with you.
But there is a difference with what has happened to the tongue.
I hear you, and I think you've expressed that very well.
So that's why these two things are different. What I'm saying is that, and I would like these people who pick up, and saying you're going to circumcise the president.
Before we pick
you're not going to circumcise something, or even calling HH this and that. Kind of these personal attacks on the presidents.
Listen,
are not
madam.
as bad as they.
Thank you. Listen, madam, I want to agree with you. When you say that people like that, they should be met with some consequences. Citizens should be able to see that the people that seemingly belong to the ruling party, when they do things like this, they should be made with some level of energy.
I totally agree.
That's
Totally
the people
agree.
on the. But if it looks like just the people on the other side of the fence are the ones that should understand that there's a law in this country, and then the people on this side of the fence can do what they want to do, and nothing happens. It's what the conversation is about.
Remember the ones who've been arrested are MPs. You understand?
Yes.
These are. You can't even compare them to things. You are sitting here using your parliamentary platform. But I totally agree. And it's not only tribalism, it's corruption. It's also corruption. This government fails to arrest its own people.
Let's add someone there. Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning, thank
Yes,
you.
DJ Shosta.
Good morning, thank you. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Nakonde.
What's your name, sir?
This is Kefas.
Kefas.
Yes, sir.
You may go on with your contribution.
Good morning, Madam Lola.
Good morning.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to contribute. I have liked most of the submissions you've made. Yes, we must agree to disagree for sure, that you are looking at things differently, just as I should also be understood that I may look at things differently. The case in point is when several callers have hinted to the fact that we are the guys that really asked the president to bring Edgar Lungu to take Edgar Lungu to Northwestern so that he can be circumcised and he's going to die from there. That's what they said. And unless I don't know whether you are not privy to such current affairs, secondly, it is true on floor of parliament, okay? It should be, something like that. But I remember vividly that Douglas Yakanima made such a statement that people from Wapara province suffer from a poverty of mentality. That is true. Vividly, you saw one time when the former first lady appeared before the magistrate court. I think you remember. When these UPND cadres undoubtedly could pass insulting Edgar Lungu and everyone was just there watching. If what this gentleman, this guy from Machinga, that MP, if what he said towards these ambassadors, US ambassadors, against them, whatever words that he used, if that was done by an opposition, this person would have been locked up by now. Now, it is true from my standpoint that I can tell you that this government has a very soft spot for the people who eat from their clamshell, who pick their clamshell. They are very much soft part. And especially if you talk about tribalism, you can go in ministry. I am not going to say this and that, but the truth is, you can see the appointments, how the appointments have been for the past 4 years now. So if you can come and argue on the platform that, no, you have not seen anything, that is showing a bad indicator, then that is not correct, seriously. However, I'd mentioned that I agree with a number of things that you have mentioned, that you have said there. A number of things. But on this score, I think you've not done justice to the question. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have yourself a wonderful day.
So,
wonderful day too.
On the tribal thing, I suppose, I don't know, I suppose people, maybe when they're trying to make a call, then they don't listen. Because we've said this. So I've said this, that a government must show, I agree, a government must show balance. Okay? A government must show balance. And I've also said that when you look at the president's appointments, I'm not very sure about the ministries. I honestly do not know what's happening in the ministries. But the optics, the way it looks around him, Kajeka core group looks very tribal. I've said that. And I have also said that it is wrong. The optics are wrong, and also making appointments on the basis of tribe does not help anyone, but least of all service delivery. You know what I mean? It doesn't help service delivery. What I have emphasized is that this country needs to learn the difference between tribalism, which is wrong, that favors their one's own people, and tribalism that teaches people to hate another.
The other people. Okay. So I think that point has been stretched. Let's move on to another one. There's the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Mulambo Haimbe, expressed concern over the use of media by foreign diplomats, particularly in reference to the U.S. ambassador, to communicate critical issues. My question to you is, do you think it's realistic that Zambia can insist on the use of diplomatic channels when foreign entities like the U.S. feel their concerns have not been adequately addressed?
No. You know, they don't complain when if the ambassador praises them using the same...
Using the same channels, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, remember, we are the people. This is... It's our money. It's our medicine. Time an ambassador stands up and holds a press conference, no way they can tell us as the first step that ambassador took Wanama.
He actually said he talked about 33 meetings.
Yes. He tried and tried and tried. But government, and not only this government, they love closed door meetings. Because after that, they can get on with their lives. Oh, yes, we're going to do this. Or even just ignore. There is no way that ambassador did not try to meet the president. I don't believe it. By the time, and I am glad we know, because all we would have seen is no medicines in the hospitals. Now we know. And as for me, I'd heard this even before. We are losing medicines. But instead of dealing with the core issue, you know, like you see, the response is, why did you tell the people? You know? Huyu mtu anachipute, why mamuuza anachipute? You know that kind of thing. The answer is not that the place is dirty, but that you've shown that there's dirt under the table. We haven't seen the same energy in trying to respond to the substance of what the ambassador said. The substance of what the ambassador said is that we are thieves. We steal from ourselves.
You're giving, and then
yes.
you're stealing.
Why no anger against that? Why no sense of shame? Your sense of shame is that now the people know? That's all you're going to go about. Why did you say it?
What would you have expected from two people? After Ambassador Gonzalez gave that statement, what would you have expected from the head of state and from the Minister of Home Affairs?
Foreign Affairs?
Yes, Foreign Affairs, yes.
Foreign Affairs, well, it's a different thing. But for me, it's the President, the Minister of Health. You know, like immediate response to tell us this is the actual situation. What we found is this is true. Drugs are being stolen. Not true. This is what we're going to do. This is where we need inquiry. You know, in Zambia, we like my commissions of inquiry for random things. You know, we needed a sense. And one, what are we going to do to plug the whole left? Not only with this issue of health, but overall U.S. funding. We haven't been told government's plan in response. You know, this government did very well in this drought response. Do you remember? We knew. The president spoke to us. There's a drought. This is what we're going to do. Cash for work. This, that. And in the end, nobody died. You know, we haven't given this government the credit it deserves for how we survived last year's drought. Because in my lifetime, I don't remember a time where even I noticed that there's no shower. You know what kind of thing? You'd go to Chipata and you can't buy nuts to the extent in which you know. So and also, as an ACA, we go deep into rural areas. You know, the hunger in people's eyes even, and their sense of panic. But the fact that we survived that until we had this rainy season, it was not by chance. You know, there was a very systematic response. The presidency spoke to us. The president spoke to us. We knew who was doing what. Of course, money, as usual, was stolen and all. That's how you respond to crisis. You talk to the people. The people you don't know them, but why do you know? You see, so I'm worried. I don't know whether they fear that admitting the extent of the should I say not dishonesty, the thuggery, the robbery that goes on is going to reflect on government. But I wish that government would take us into their confidence and say, this is what we found out, and this is what we are going to do.
You fear that our response could dent our relationships with these people?
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, you can't really dent your thing with Trump much more than we've done.
There's a caller. Hi there. Good morning. Hello.
I hope it's not going back.
It's actually afternoon. Hi there. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Great, thank you. Your name and where you calling us from?
Can you hear me?
Yes, your name and where you
calling us from? Kalaba is my name.
Mukelaba, you can go on, please.
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I just wanted to appreciate the contribution of our lady there, Madam Moti. The thing is, I just wanted to draw you back to the issue that everyone seems to go back to, which she has tried to explain, that the differences, even though it is not condoned for someone to call the former head of state, that he should be circumcised. That is unheard of. But you cannot compare that with the issue. That is not the issue. When you are telling someone, actually, what I thought have happened was the president or his team, the former president or his team, should have taken themselves their individual capacity, suing that matter, reporting such an individual to the police, or sue him in his individual capacity, private, in a civil suit. Unlike where you want to compare with someone who is inciting the whole nation to rise against the government. That's the difference. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, but I think we are past this one, so let's move on to something.
Yeah, let's move on. You previously mentioned that members of parliament, in their personal capacity, cannot bring development to their constituencies, which hasn't really been, because I think when they talk to people, they make it sound like, when you vote me in, I'll change this whole place. What are some of their limitations and their strengths? Just for the sake of education,
the office of the MP is not designed to bring development. It's not even that. It's not that they don't want to; they can't. But they are not meant to. So the role of an MP is to pass laws in Parliament, to speak up for their constituency, to engage with the budget and allow the decisions made by the executive to happen, which means the expenditure, and then the executive spends. So the one that brings development is the executive. It's the local council. It's not the MP. So when the MP says, I'll bring you a boho, he's lying. And if he does, he'll probably end up stealing to put back that money from his pocket. You see what I mean? So you can't. See, there's just a whole constituency. How many bohos can you do from your private pocket? But I think it's also our fault because we push them to promise us, it's almost pachikwati. That kind of thing. That kind of thing. At the point of ukula are told. And if the girl is idiotic enough to believe it, but also uninformed enough to believe it, it's a problem. Our country is that the citizens themselves don't know. It's not the fault of the MPs. You hear questions like, the MPs run away, the MPs run away. They don't run away. Even if they came, they can't come with that boho. The most they can come with you to is to tell you, this is what I've said in Parliament. And, they say influence. Even one MP, once the budget has arrived, cannot influence a change to bring what his constituents or her constituents want. That decision is made by the Minister of Finance. It's made by the system of budgeting and planning. Budgeting and planning is not made by MPs.
They don't have any influence on what the council does in their areas?
No, they don't. Even if you take them back to the council, by the time the budget is coming to the council, it has been created by the secretariat. What are you going to call it? The council itself. So in a council, the most influential person is the town clerk, not the councillor. Not even the councillor has but the council has voted in, so does speak about the budgets now. You know, where water will go, where this will happen, where the roads, the things that the most powerful person or should I say the most powerful entity is the council, which is why I say, for example, that it's tragic that we don't pay our councillors better. You know, in our country, we should pay councillors and even WDCs better, because they are the ones who are close to the people. They are the ones who make decisions on the day-to-day needs of the people.
So if an aspiring candidate is saying, when you vote for me, we'll ensure that our constituency has good schools, has good new houses, has got roads.
They don't have
control. They don't have that influence.
They don't have that control. So now there's CDF, of course. But even with CDF, if CDF is running properly, the influence of the MP is minimal. The influence comes from the people. The people should say, we want a borehole. We want a school. And then up here, it is more approval. You see.
So what are the acceptable campaign words for MPs to talk into?
You can't win if you use them.
Or if they use the truth, they will not be able to win.
Let me tell you, which is where, let me take you maybe to the issue of the constitution, which is why it's really mischievous of the government to carry out the intention to bring development, because MPs don't bring development. Bringing one more MP with a little bit of CDF will not change your constituency. And in any case, CDF does not need an MP. The CDF is in our constitution. The constitution says there will be CDF, full stop. But how much CDF is, where it will go, is decided by subsidiary legislation decided by the Ministry of Local Government. At that level, CDF can be decided that in Lusaka, Kanyama and Mandevu will get more than Lusaka Central. That is a completely executive decision.
I hear you.
It is also decided that, so as it is already, there's no reason why rural constituencies get the same amount of money as Lusaka, for example. So the MP's role, even increasing our MPs, does not really do much for Zambia, as far as I'm concerned.
I hear you. You also criticized one aspiring member of parliament for using the word honorable when they're still just aspiring. What is the connection there?
They are not honorable outside the house. Even when they are MPs, even when they are sitting MPs, outside, it's like a minister. Is it doctor? You know what I mean?
Outside the house, you're Mr. Ahimbe.
Yes.
You're only honorable when you're in the house.
On the floor of the house. So, of course, you can call them, respectfully, MP, whatever, but they run around calling honorable. Even in their homes, you know, we find wives calling their husbands honorable, and whole family is calling their husbands honorable. And then, but the person is still honorable. So, no, they shouldn't call themselves honorable, but especially not before they are elected.
I like that. As we come to the end of the program, is there anything you would like to say to the people that have followed the program?
You know, this country should be better for us all. Should be better for the poor. And for me, it's always the poor. You know, the rest of us, we can feed our children and we can take our children to school. But Zambian poverty is so undignified. So undignified, so painful. You know, you have a Zambian child who can't eat, is not in school because of the level of poverty. And yet we would be able to do it if only we used our money accountably. And I think for the president, I would say, govern. You know, like, it's more important at this point to go into elections while governing than trying to ensure this win via constitutional changes, via bringing in an MOs. There's so much noise and tension around the president that's unnecessary. You know, when this president came into, like I say, he won on his own right. He won himself. He was given the full mandate. No one can lie that it's a Besindi, it's a HH, win. he needs to become less insecure, less worried about 2026, and speak to us honestly about issues. This government has done well on certain points. You have the whole free education, you have CDF, which if it was managed better, would have changed already the rural setting. So what we need to do is run this country for our weakest, run this country for our poor, and stop running it for the good of those who are in office. Those ones eat well already. So let's not worry. People come to my page, how can you say this? Or how can you say? It's not personal. I actually like the president. I think he knows I like him. Essentially, I think the president is my friend. I mean, I can actually claim that. But when it comes to Zambia and friendship, so when I criticize the president, it's not because I dislike him. It's because he's hurting the country at that particular point. And we all should be able to make that difference. The difference between that which affects people who are weak, who can speak for themselves, that which affects us all, and our private thing, So I think that's what I would say. Let's learn to protect our country. Let's learn to protect the thing, and let's learn to understand that those in office are there for us. They are not gods. And when we speak about them, it's not personal. It's about how can we get this country forward.
Wonderful. Madam, I'd like to thank you so much for making time for us. I really appreciate it.
I really thank you for coming. I mean, you came to my office,
Yes,
I didn't need to go looking for you. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for everybody who has listened.
Thank you. We appreciate you for